Starting an Instagram live today. We're going to get Carlos Ramirez in to talk about our current show, Redacted. Let's see. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm going to pan around while we wait for Carlos. Hey, Carlos.
Hey, hold on a second. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks
Good.
for meeting and for your time to talk about the show.
Right on. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. So maybe we can start. Well, first of all, I'm Kevin Ivester. I am the owner and director of Ivester Contemporary, which is a gallery in Austin, Texas. I've had Carlos's view as part of this two-person exhibition for what, 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, around 3 weeks.
And the exhibition's on view until July 11th. Maybe we can start, but do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit, where
Sure.
you are and the work that you make?
Sure. My name is Carlos Ramirez, and I'm from the Coachella Valley, uh, from Indio and Coachella to be exact. And it's like 2.5 hours east of LA.
Cool.
And that's where I'm at.
Are you in your studio right now?
I am. I am.
Nice. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, this exhibition is called Redacted. I'm going to just kind of pan around for a second.
Cool.
This is a two-person show featuring Carlos and Emilio Villalba, two artists from California. The gallery's first time showing you both. And the show came together with the help of Matt Deal, who is a friend of mine and collector here in Austin, and somebody who collects both of your work quite a bit. How did you meet Matt?
Obviously, we first met online, I think, and we kind of connected like with a lot of commonalities, I think, first, and then obviously the love of art, and uh, and it's been like a romance ever since, man. Like I love that dude.
Nice. Yeah, he's such a good guy. And he has been, just great to work with for me too. It's been a lot of fun to like put this exhibition together and to meet you and Emilio through the show. Um, I guess we've been talking for about a year and a half about this exhibition, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, we're
So
quite quick.
it went by quick. Yeah. And the title of the exhibition being Redacted, I was just kind of thinking back and remembering that I would say the first time that the name Redacted came up in my mind, it was really a result of this work here, which is your Immigrant Redacted series.
Right on.
Um, so what did I guess we should start like what does this series mean to you? When did you start making these, and really about like political work in general? You've always made politically oriented work, right?
Yeah, before it wasn't so obvious, but obviously the social climate the way it is right now, like I kind of like could not do it, but um. Yeah, I think it's a little more obvious now than ever before, and I think it's something that I've always felt has to kind of be a testimonial to what the times are at the moment. And I hope that when people look back into like the historical weather, like, they see that things were said by certain people, and,
Yeah.
uh, and these pieces started, a friend of mine, gifted me these, and what they were gas panels. They're actually like vintage gas panels that are made out of metal, and that kind of tell you what the price is, and I kind of thought it'd be interesting to have it gel with a lot of the shit that's going on today, like gas prices and
Mm.
et cetera, and I think a lot of that information is being used as a type of scapegoat. So at what cost, so that's how these pieces came about.
Yeah, and at the same time, this gas price conversation is like, for some reason, we can completely, demonize a whole group of people. We can treat people horribly, and for some reason, like gas prices is the thing that catches people's attention.
Right, right.
Like, why is that the threshold that people start to care about? Really important.
And I think it like exactly what you're saying. I think people are already thinking certain things, but I think they're thrown and fed keywords that become a catalyst to an excuse to act a certain way towards other people, and that's why for me these pieces were important because they're so they're multi-layered.
Yeah.
Like speaking to that.
Yeah, and so much of your work is sort of mashes um, social issues together with sort of pop culture and the other conversations that are happening. Kind of, I guess I don't know which one is fully in the background or the foreground, and it is all about this framing and how they sort of try to control the conversation. But like these pieces on this sort of central wall, all about just like American consumer goods and with these same redacted lines. Like I love this Coca-Cola one with the redacted line across the eyes.
Thank you.
Um, have you always worked with, I don't know, like consumer goods, soda? What does this wall mean to you?
Oh, where do I start? Where do I start? I think back to like multi-layering when it comes to like certain emotions and obviously I use a lot of popular iconography, like things that people are familiar with, that kind of put you there. They put you there with all the issues that are going on, and especially with like uh, corporate conglomerates that are just
Mm.
having so much influence and it's like they're okay with you giving them their money, but behind the scenes, like there's other shit that's just going on that I think shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, a lot of virtual signaling from those companies, and like they seem to be doing the right thing, but yeah, they're definitely part of the problem.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, Another thing about the work, just like as I'm looking at this piece, um, how do you like? Because there's so many different parts of this piece. I've got this bat here. We've got the ice pick. There's stickers. There's paint. There's this Batman. What part of the work are you completely making from scratch? What parts of the work are you collecting? Um, like, do you feel like you're purposefully obscuring the line between like what you found and what you paint or draw or manipulate?
I think so, and I think it's a lot of layering of personal experiences also that kind of like the Mexican Batman. That's what that piece is called, and that goes back to when I was a kid, and I would see all these superheroes, and but they were never me. They were never me.
Hmm.
They were always somebody else. So I kind of like to merge the past, my personal past, anyways, to the present, to kind of contrast like today's social climate and the way everything is today. And
Yeah, that's so cool. And so this sign here, like you hand painted this sign,
I did.
and like what's the material that you're painting on?
That's actually a pegboard.
Pegboard.
For
Okay.
product that I got from a store that was closing. And so I went and collected a bunch of it and made like a series of back to consumerism.
And there's all these details back here. Like this looks like tape sort of obscured, and there's this hidden rat. It like when I look at your work, it always feels like it's 50 years old. Like it's like been outside, just weathering naturally. Are you patinaing these?
I am. I do manipulate them. I used to actually use a lot of. I still do use like found objects and things that are discarded and stuff like that. But I couldn't find it quick enough, so I had to learn how to patina it the way I wanted it to and as quick as I could.
And where are you sourcing all these objects that are like on your work?
They come from all over the place. The deserts, friends give them to me. Thrift stores, anywhere I can find them.
Yeah. And you've always mixed sort of like hand painted detail and found objects?
I have, I have.
Okay. What was the sort of inspiration to begin that? Have you like were you drawing on paper and with like pen or pencil at first and then evolved into paintings and mixed media or
Yeah, yeah. Like I started doing this like maybe around 20 years ago, and I started with little cardboard pieces that I would find,
Hmm,
and one day I just happened to stick a drawing onto it, and it just grew from there.
nice. Um, yeah, you're still using like cardboard and um, like this magazine, which again, like this is such a good example, this piece of something that, you know, I think the viewer knows that you didn't like shoot this photograph and make this ad, this original ad. But we forget, like, this is a big piece. This is not how it existed in its original form. Like, you blew this up, you patinaed it, you manipulated, like, the original imagery with these masks on these men. You added all this sort of like, almost like old tears and folds that you would see in something that's been discarded for a long time, maybe added all these redacted bars, this drawing. Um, I mean, it's like it's a ton of work. It's a ton of imagination. You're grabbing from everywhere. Yeah, Sydney, good point. Like this does feel like personal archiving a little bit. When you're in your studio, how are you making decisions? Like, what are you pulling from? What does your studio look like?
Oh, it looks crazy, man. It's crazy. Um, it looks like madness at times. Right now it looks okay, but yeah,
Yeah.
and this piece was actually sent to me originally was an original 1950s or so ad by Matt Deal actually, and when we saw it because we were sourcing material for the show specifically, like it just fucking blew me away. I was like, wow, and I was kind of sitting with it for a few days, and then I kind of started to see the idea emerging, and you know, and I was thinking about the idea of a nuclear family back in the 50s and how
Hmm.
that still affects people today. So, so I took it to get it blown up, and and the dog was like actually something from my childhood because my mother used to work with a lot of the labor unions out here. She worked with Cesar Chavez, and I remember going out with their where they would actually sick German shepherds on us. So,
Oh.
so going back to that connection of the present with the past, I think is what kind of created this and evolved into what it is.
So when you're building this image, what does that process look like? Are you like constantly kind of pushing and pulling and going between things, or do you know sort of what the end goal is before you start?
Sometimes I do know exactly what I want it to look like, but sometimes it's super random that like an object can dictate the whole piece for me. Like I just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah,
But
it's
like that.
surprising.
What that?
It's surprising it doesn't feel that way because everything feels so purposefully placed. I mean, these redacted bars covering specific words in the headline here. Now,
Um,
when you read, three-letter word, rage killing, it just feels like almost like you made the ad, but no, you just found the ad and then manipulated it. It's just like everything always seems to work perfectly in your pieces.
Yeah, and sometimes like me and Matt had going back to Matt, we had that conversation about how a lot of the stuff that was being made specifically for the show was
Hmm.
almost meant to be. And
Yeah.
like that's a great example. I think originally it said can I look at that again?
Yeah.
I don't know it word for word, but yeah, what three-letter words chills beverages without killing taste?
Oh
And
wow.
yeah. And then so like when it popped into my head, I'm like, oh shit, like, I kind of saw it. So going back to all today's garbage that's going on.
So part of the process is just like noticing and
No,
looking for almost rhymes or messages in um, just like popular material that you find.
right. That's what I meant by like sometimes it'll dictate what the
Huh.
piece would look like or
Yeah, I think that this one is another good example of work that feels, I don't know, like it's just come together perfectly. Can you talk a little bit about this piece?
yeah, that's a crazy ass piece. But, you know, um, once again, those ice picks go back to the 40s or maybe 50s. And, and, and it was just super ironic that they happened to be ice picks, and that worked perfectly for me. And, and if you look at the Dracula, he's got a cross on his face that kind of highlights like the hypocrisy of all the shit that's going on today.
Hmm. With religion and ice being mixed?
Yeah, well, just hypocrisy in general, like the way a lot of people are pushing certain agendas just to, yeah.
Yeah. How about these like bubbles, these speech bubbles? You use that a lot in your work.
Um, I do. They kind of go back to my childhood. Like I remember learning from comic books when I first started drawing, and they just somehow stuck to me. They just work perfectly.
How do you use them? Like this one also has a speech bubble, and this one, for instance, like it's just a bubble.
Yeah, I think I let people decide what they wanted to say, maybe, or something is being said. Like sometimes you got to say some shit, and
Mm.
it's not always up to me. So,
Hmm. So again, just going back to like how you're making your work and the techniques that you're using, like this board feels, again, it feels like it's 50 years old and it's been outside, but like you painted it this way, you patinaed it this way.
right.
Were the holes in it?
No, those are actual 9 millimeter gunshots that I took out and shot myself.
So your work, I mean, I just like can't imagine how you move through your process and move through your practice because it just feels like, yeah, guns being a part of your tools that you use. Everything's a tool.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and I
really
try
cool.
to I try to think of like the work I do. Like I've always imagined in 1,000 years, like what would our artifacts today look like to them?
Hmm.
In that same type of messaging, and I try to imagine like what would that look like? We can go back and see the Mayans, Egyptians, and try to puzzle piece things together. And so that's kind of like a major idea with a lot of this work. Also, like a testimonial.
What we leave behind. Yeah, it reminds me of these Molotov cocktails too, which I feel like you're clearly finding these bottles or getting these bottles and then manipulating them. When did you start this project?
I've been doing the Molotovs since maybe like '89,
Oh,
like
okay.
way back. But I don't do them a whole lot, and it also goes back like to corporate conglomerates and the social climate and what's going on, and And it's kind of to me they symbolize the poor man's fight, if anything. I don't condone violence, or I don't agree with it, but it's more like a symbolic gesture towards like the not just the poor man's fight, but like the working class. Like
Yeah.
if we could throw it back at them.
You've been having that conversation since '89, and I feel like only in the past few years has this conversation really bubbled to like the top of
Yeah,
political
and
discourse right now.
that's unfortunate that that's what that it has to become relevant in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you're making this work all the time, and you are, with this guy, for instance, you are responding to like specific events in like the news cycle. But do you feel like constantly responding, constantly talking about these things is the fight, or do you find it more important to respond to like specific events?
I think it's just a fight, man. It's a fight. It's like you could look at it however you want to look at it, or this is my personal fight. And I try to take in what the feeling is throughout society. Like kind of like I like to keep it simple, man.
Hmm. And then this piece here. I mean, this is such a strong one, and this is more of like a pure painting. I mean, there are some assemblage components to the work, like this belt buckle, party snappers. But how did this piece come together? I mean, when did you make this piece?
Um, I met that maybe about what was it like over 2 months ago, maybe. And literally down the street there was an incident, that had to do with ice, and I'm like, wow, that like they're really close, and so.
Wow.
But it's also part of a series that I've been kind of working on, where it's kind of highlighting all the blatant like disregard for the Constitution that's been going on. So that's why it says aviso político número cuatro, which like that's just the fourth one. Like how
Mm,
many times do we have to kind of announce all the garbage that's going on?
wow. So I also wanted to point these bats out too. I mean, this is a very Austin conversation, but what are your thoughts around some of these bats that you're showing?
Um, I have a lot of. I'll prefix with this. I have a lot of family in Texas. So like I've been kind of familiar with the bats, but when this show was formulating, I started reading more into like the whole bats, the Austin, which are the Mexican free-tailed bats, and and I came to a realization that they're in the beginning when people first started encountering them, they were so misunderstood, and
Mm,
they come from central Mexico and they get to the United States pregnant, and I think they roost under a bridge that's ironically called the Congress Bridge, I believe.
yeah.
Um, and I was thinking of how our people have been misunderstood for so long, and I started kind of blending the animal experience with the human experience to kind of make a gesture or some type of point, and and how eventually people started realizing the benefits that they had on society, on farms, on growth, and everything else.
Wow. Is that the same sort of idea with the spiders?
Well, usually I do a lot of tarantulas,
Uh huh.
but I love the black widows also, and the tarantulas are also because I used to do a lot of hiking in the deserts, and I would see a lot of these tarantulas that would be like at a quick pace, like they were on a mission, and they
Mm,
got me kind of thinking how a lot of the immigrants that are out there do the same thing. It's like incredible heat, but they're doing it for survival. So that's kind of why I do the spider.
Getting place to place.
Yes,
And here's a callback to the early days of making work on cardboard.
right.
I love this piece. This one feels a lot like that large painting in the front, that black painting.
Oh, right on.
Um, what was it like to kind of have this two-person show and to see your work alongside Emilio's?
Wow. When I first saw Emilio's work, I was kind of blown away, like, because I had seen it online before, and then, and me and Matt would check it out, and then on my own time, I would check it out. But to see it in person, I was like, and I think he mentioned how it was kind of scary to, like, how is this going to work out?
Yeah.
But almost immediately I saw like the way the work was harmonizing, and I was trying to figure out what it was. And as for my work, I know I like to create something that's worn, it's used, it's degraded, it's ugly and beautiful at the same time. I'm not calling anybody's work, ugly or anything, but just the idea of being able to mix those two like emotions or those visual. And when I saw his work, I was thinking like where is that coming from? Like there's a harmony, and
Mm.
beyond the colors like were fucking amazing. But then I kind of realized they're coming from a same type of emotion that I kind of connected the two. So
Yeah, it's like kind of a conflict.
that
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, beauty and then just the world being so in such a tough place, and you do see it like this. This vista of the show right now, the two pieces on the left having a similar color palette and a similar feeling. Um, yeah, Sydney passion for sure in both artists' work. The color, the yellow, the blue, the world on fire. I love that idea, Carlos, of conflict being like a central piece in both of your work. And I sort of wanted to end on this piece. This is a piece that I think a lot of folks will recognize. Um, and the fight that you're bringing is so important. And at the end of the day, it's about people. Um, what's your relationship to this piece, Carlos, and just like fighting for people?
Um, that's a good point. Like for me, it's always been the human experience,
Mm.
and how it's affected and by what it's affected by. And in this piece, I included the Home Depot, like a piece of their logo, and obviously what happened with this kid, which was kind of like it just blew me away. It blew me away, and I thought I'd combine like I can't even find the words for it, man. It's like yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I just wanna say, Carlos, you've got a relationship. What's the nonprofit like? If this piece was to find a home, I think it's important that folks know, like, you know, the proceeds go to what's the
yeah,
nonprofit called?
yeah. It's called Raices, and it's a nonprofit out here that works with a lot of high risk youth, and I work with them occasionally and stuff, and they're really amazing. They do a lot for, like I said, high risk kids out here. So yeah, part of it would go to them.
It's a powerful show. I mean, the whole experience of working with you has been powerful. Learning from you, seeing your work, talking with you about your work, um, and this is one of the main functions of the fine arts and visual art is to have these conversations and to dive into some of the cultural histories. I mean, I've just learned so much by working on you with the show. I'm grateful to show your work. I'm really proud to have it in the gallery. and do just like the smallest part in introducing some of these things to other people too here in Texas. So thank you for the opportunity.
No, I gotta also thank you, man, because like I know, how like this work can get really political and stuff, and I just I'm honored to be able to work with you, Matt Teal, Emilio, and I think more and more people are starting to see that it is art, you
Yeah,
know, when does it stop being art? Like,
yeah, yeah. Standing up for people, using your voice, connecting to community, that is absolutely art. And I want to just shout out Matt Deal, who really brought this show together. Um, he's such a huge um, supporter of the arts, but also of all these socio-political conversations.
yeah,
He does a lot for everybody. So, but Carlos, it's just been awesome to share your work. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time.
I
Appreciate
appreciate
your
it.
work. Um, for those of you who are watching that live in the Austin area, the show's on view till July 11th. So you've got a few more weeks to see it in person. And um, yeah, thanks so much. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Talk soon, Carlos.
All right, man.
Bye.
Bye.